Nikki, you look so different today. Good morning, everybody. And let me share my just a second. Stop bugging out, computer. There we go. There we go. Good morning. There's Lauren. Jenny, I see a chair, but I don't actually see you. Unless are you the chair?
She's camouflaged.
There's a game that's like hide and seek and like it's like prop hunt, I think is what it's called. And you hide as props. And your
Oh,
job is
interesting.
just to blend in with like it's really funny concept. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds fun.
All right, let's go. Okay. There we go. Getting all rolling in. Good
Hey, I
morning.
know
So
that guy.
wait, there's two Nickies today. What?
Whoa, I don't know if the Matrix can handle that much awesome.
I love it. I love it. Good morning, Diane.
Still rolling
Out
in.
on the beach. Nice, nice. Definitely not a background for sure. It's the real deal.
Just like mine. Mine's a real deal, including the little epic poster in the window, all 100% authentic.
That's right. Nikkei, that's right. We went over that, didn't we? I need to say it more often so I can remember it. It's like what how many times now you have to say something to remember it? It's a lot.
See, now that I've heard her say that, I'm always going to remember it because I lived in Japan for a while and the Japanese Nikkei is a currency when that gets
Oh,
I'm never
yeah.
going to forget that now. That's
All right,
awesome.
guys. Icebreaker question, by the way, almost forgot. In the past 30 days, how many for sale by owners or landlords have you reached out to? Genuine question. I'm a little curious. You never know who's kind of using this. But in my opinion, and I'd love to hear Walter's too, I think I've seen less and less agents um do for sale by owners and investors over the last few years, in my opinion. I feel like it used to be something that I heard more often in my circles, and then I hear it a little less often and a little less often, even though the numbers for sale by owners and landlords are roughly the same, and in some places, depending on your market, are up
Yep.
because people, when they get scared, they get money conscious and they're driven with fear of I've got to squeeze every penny out of this or else bad things will happen. So I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think, Walter? What do you been seeing?
No, I tend to agree with that. I think more and more agents, for whatever reason, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and maybe it's just, social media is an echo chamber.
There's Jenny.
I think more and more people have got this idea that FSBOs it's done, like there's no point, like they hate us all, let's not even bother. And so I do feel like less agents are reaching out to FSBOs, but those that reach out usually do quite well with it. As a great example, I'm looking in the chat. Karen said she's reached out to three. Lauren said she's only reached out to one, but they're signing a listing agreement today. 100% success rate. Go do it again.
Dang. Now,
Right?
never do another one again, Lawrence. So you can always say that you have
Always say
a
I'm
100%
100%.
conversion rate.
But yeah,
I
I mean,
love
it,
it.
it really is. Oh, and we'll talk about it today. When
Yeah.
you learn how to have the conversation with them differently, it really is a fun way to do business, and it's a very easy way to garner success with it. So it's a lot of fun. And we'll
I
talk
love
more
it. For
as we
everybody who
go.
didn't hear that again, how many for sale by owners and landlords have you reached out to in the last 30 days? Also, let's get those videos on, guys. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't be scared. We don't bite.
Howard,
Sometimes we nibble, but we don't bite.
Kari, hopefully I'm saying that right. Cedric, Cynthia, Kelly Wheeler, what you think you could get in here without your video on? Get out of here. Camera issues. I don't know, man.
All right, getting in.
Jonathan, Jay, Carrie, Harmon, Karen. There's more.
You know what I wish Zoom would do? Like when they do their next update, when they put out their next edition of Zoom, I wish that they would give the host permissions to go in and turn on everyone's camera, whether they want it on or not. That would be cool.
Technically, well, you can, I believe you can require video, um, but I think we would see some things that we don't want to.
Perhaps, perhaps. I just think it'd be
But it would
interesting,
be a
like,
memorable call.
right.
That's for sure.
Well, I think I mean, honestly, over the long run, the short term, it would be chaos. Over the long term, I think it'd be great because people would start treating their Zoom calls more like an actual professional meeting where they're showing up intent to learn something, they're engaged, they're focused, they're dressed appropriately, they're not distracted by 100 things. I mean, I actually
Weren't you
think it
and I
would
on
make,
that Cheplack call?
I think it, no, I think it would make people so much more productive though if
Wasn't it
they
you and
knew like
me?
I have to show up with my video on and be watched while I watch.
I think it was you and me on that
I,
Cheplack
I
call.
was on, it's been a while. I was
And
on
he
a
said
Cheplack
that
call where he kind of
video,
talked about
and
that.
then he said, he's straight. If you guys don't know who John Cheplack is, and so he's, I think he's arguably the most notable real estate coach. Maybe he's not the most famous, but he's definitely the most notable. I would say most
Yeah,
data results driven real estate coach out there. And that's just proven by his client list. If you take
yeah,
like the
for
top
sure.
15 of anything in the world in real estate, they're all his clients. So pretty hard to argue with that. And Walt and I were on a call. This was the one time Walt and I were like, we'll just chill. There'll be the one time we get a break from being video on. And this is the first time I ever heard Chef like do this. He was like, by the way, you have 30 seconds to get your video on, or I'm kicking you from the call.
Yep.
And I was like, the one time I just wanted to be a fly on the wall and not.
It was
All
awesome.
right, let's get started. We get a little fun. All right, guys. So this is for all the agents who have scrolled past for sale by owners, thinking they'll never list with an agent anyway. Heard that one plenty of times. Are really tired of relying on maybe expensive lead generation platforms. Maybe you're just tired of that. I got tired real fast of that, by the way. Maybe consistency works, but you don't have the system. Like, what's step one? And then, wait, I did step one. What's step two? Right? That's me a lot of the times. Analysis paralysis. I've got to have this perfect, fleshed out plan for the next 5 years, and then I'll take action. Right? So if that's you, today is going to be so simple and so easy, right? Because we want to avoid overcomplicating something that is simple. Okay. So 4 commitments for being on the call today, guys. First is video on. We still got a whole bunch of people that need to get their video on. I won't kick you out. I'll be honest with you. That's not my heart behind it. You know, but we would love your community. We would love your attention. We would love that. It gives us energy to see you guys. It really does. With or without makeup, right? In your pajamas or not, as long as well, you're doing that already. Well, you do the next one. Distractions off, by the way, is the second. Thank you, Marcus. Mir Weiss. Yes. Thank you. Good to see you. Distractions off. So again, you didn't come here today just to be distracted. That would be silly, and that's not you. So just make sure whatever distractions you need to mute, turn off, shove the kid in the closet for just this call, and then you can pull him back out. Whatever you got to do. Walk away with that attention and what you learned today. Participate. We're gonna have calls. We're gonna have questions that come up. Definitely get in the chat. Be answering them. Your brain absorbs so much better when you participate. It doesn't even matter if you're someone who's like, well, no, I prefer to listen. It doesn't even matter. You're all brains remember things better when we can engage with that subject matter. Doesn't matter your learning preference. That is still a fact. And then one of the most important ones is, hey, there's Kelly. He came through. Is go make someone's day, right? Walt and I, we don't have anything to sell you. Many of you have been coming for years now to these calls. We don't sell you on stuff. We don't have expensive coaching. We just give. That's just what we do. And we would like you to go out there and give to others as well, because we think the world's a better place for that. Okay. That being said, We are going to skip that question. We're going to actually skip the scenario. The most important part that I want you to say with me to get in that mindset is things need to change. And the good news is they will. And it's all going to start with one for sale by owner or landlord. We're going to focus on for sale by owners, but this heavily applies to landlords too. It's a very, very similar concept. Because here's the thing, only 11% of for sale by owner sellers actually sell entirely on their own. So you have this group of people, and only a tiny, tiny percent of that group of people actually follow through. It kind of sounds like real estate agents, doesn't it? About 87% of for sale by owner sellers would consider hiring an agent at some point. Let's find you in that some point journey. Okay. Let's make sure that you're in that little barometer. Okay. And then here's one of my favorite parts. I love strategies that other people just don't do. Strategies that work. Let me preface that. Strategies that work that other agents won't do. It's why I like the price drop strategy so much. It's such a great strategy. Most agents do ignore for sale by owners. They just do. And then landlords, I don't even know, other than Walt and maybe one or two other people. I don't even know anybody who talks about landlords and working with the landlords. So this gives you a competitive advantage because you have almost no competitors in this space, right? We already know tons of people work in Zillow leads. We already know tons of people that are on the Facebook groups now. That's a very common thing. Facebook Marketplace, Walt, Chris, and myself might even be to blame for that because we gave it all away for free. But honestly, the competition of for sale by owner space is pretty small. It really is. It's because it's not about chasing people who don't want you. That's a mindset that's an agent taught you that, just to be clear. An agent taught you, and it's their way of coping with the fact they didn't commit. All right. An agent taught you that. Can we all agree? No for sale by owner called you randomly out of the blue and was like, hey, Walt, by the way, I just want to make sure you know us for sale by owners all got together. We don't like you. That didn't happen. But you know what you will hear? You will hear other agents go, well, I tried for sale by owners and they all made up their mind. I tried for sale by owners and they're a bunch of stuck up bleep, bleep, bleeps. And yes, I've heard them say the bleep, bleep, bleep part. I just don't swear. Okay. I've heard it all. And I'm like, why are agents telling me what for sale by owners have not told me? And my experience with for sale owners is entirely different. Okay. This is about showing the people who don't understand an agent's value that you are worth it. Because in my opinion, most for sale by owners, it's just a misunderstanding. It's just a misunderstanding. It's a lack of perception and maybe some bitterness for people who didn't do their job. Okay, so we're going to breeze through this. Walt's usually really fast on this, so we might even get some extra time for role play, extra questions, and like that. Walt's going to do most of the talking from here on out. So first, how do we even find the for sale by owners and landlords effectively, Walt?
Yeah, so let's start. Ironically, I saw that question pop up just in a Facebook group yesterday. I saw a Facebook group and someone said, I think I want to reach out to FSBOs. Where do I find them? And I'm like, what do you mean? How do you find them? And I realize most people don't do this. So I'm not a huge fan of Zillow, right? I'll just be the first to admit I think they do a lot of things horribly wrong. Their pricing algorithms literally cost them hundreds of millions of dollars of their own business. I'm not a big fan, but one of the things that Zillow is great for is finding for sale by owners. And all you need to do is when you go into Zillow, right, draw your map wherever the areas that you want to service are, just like you would for any other home search you were doing. When you go into the filters, uncheck everything except owner posted. Get rid of agent posted, get rid of new construction, get rid of foreclosure and all that stuff. Uncheck every single category except owner posted. And now you're going to be looking at the FSBOs only on Zillow. All right, that's an easy way to do it. You're going to get their name and their phone number. Very easy to reach out to them that way. So that's actually my number one source sorry, I'm letting a couple people in. That's actually my number one source for where I find FSBOs is actually Zillow. Second to Zillow, and many of you know that we're huge proponents of leveraging Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is the next big one because so many people are leveraging Facebook Marketplace. And ironically, I have talked to FSBOs either through yard signs or through Facebook Marketplace, and they didn't know that they could actually post their own home on
Oh
Zillow
yeah.
for sale by owners, right? So sometimes you will find some FSBOs on Marketplace. Craigslist is still absolutely valid. FSBO.com, ForSaleByOwner.com. You can still find some sellers there that don't even realize that they can leverage Zillow for free. So as a value proposition, you can show them how to do that and help them market their property on Zillow for themselves. And then the other one that's not on here, but one of my favorites that's offline, right, is yard signs. Just
Hmm.
learn to get that FSBO radar, right? If you are driving down the road and you see anything that looks white and red, pay attention. Because almost every single for sale by owner sign that's publicly available at Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you go, they're almost always white and red signs. You should have FSBO radar. When you see that white and red, you should be like, oh, let me detour for 5 seconds, get a picture of that sign and the phone number, picture of that house. I'll call them in a minute. I have done some great business literally standing in the FSBO's driveway because I saw the sign, whipped a U-turn, and immediately I said, well, I got an extra 10 minutes. I'm gonna call them right now while I'm standing here in front of their own house.
Yep.
If you are short on time, that's okay, right? You don't have to have the call right there, but take 45 seconds, take a picture of the sign so that you have the phone number, take a picture of the house. If you can get the mailbox and the house so that you get the address number, right? That way you can go look up, are they on Zillow? Can I do a quick Google search of the address? You might find it online and get some additional information, but don't miss those yard signs. That's
Let me
clutch.
let me jump in there too. Something that Chris was talking about that he does is he's trained, and I mean this in the most lovingly and respectful way. He's trained his wife to look for signs. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
the thing is that like all of you might have spouses, you might have kids old enough to drive. Um, you can try your clients. In my experience, clients are a little bit harder. They just aren't thinking about you, but you can condition your family, right?
Oh
That
yeah. Every
includes
driving
any,
member of my family has
that's
FSBO
right.
radar.
That includes any local
Everyone.
relatives that are nearby.
When my
Condition them.
daughter first
Yeah,
started driving, 16 years old back in Central Virginia, I told her, if you ever see a for sale by owner sign or a for rent sign and you bring me a picture of it, if I close that deal, I will give you a $500 referral fee.
let's go.
Now, I can do that because it's my family. I can give them my own money all day long, right? There's no compliance issues with that. There's no RESPA. There's no, like, it's my family. I'm just giving them some money. And it's not a huge dollar amount. If I go sell a $400,000 FSBO at a 3% commission structure and make 12 grand, it ain't hurting my bottom line to give my kid 500 bucks. But I'll tell you what, a 16-year-old that just started driving, who's trying to
That's a
pay for
lot of money.
gas, $500 is a big deal. They will lock in on this. They'll make it a challenge. They'll come back to you with receipts. So just bear that in mind. You can leverage your
Yeah,
entire family to help with this.
exactly.
Make
I
it
wanted to
fun.
throw that out there. Yeah, super good. All right, let's keep going. So then we move into step two. So we've got all those ideas on how to find them. There's lots of great ones, and you may even find your own. You may find different ways. We kind of just use the big general ones that most of you should be able to do anywhere. All of you
Yeah.
should have access to. And if you notice, none of them cost any money too. That's kind of our thing. If we can avoid spending money, but while we make money, yes, that's a
Yeah,
double win. Like, let's go. All right.
for
So
sure.
now, when you actually find them, you've got to do something to make them interested, right? So that's what
This,
we're going to talk about now. Walt did not give me bullets on this because he really wanted to be able to have a conversation
yeah.
about what it means to bring. Wait, hold on. Does anybody get the image we made here? Anybody kind of get
Mm,
it?
I
Type
get
in
it.
the chat what
Looks like
you
Kelly got it.
see here. I want to. I had to double take it. I was like, my wife did the slide, and she was like, I was like, why did you? So yeah, the value you bring to the table,
There you
right?
go.
Yeah, it was funny. Oh, Jay getting philosophical. The four
Yeah.
pillars. Dang, I like it. All right, well, I'll take it
All
away.
right.
So
So real
value.
quick before we start talking about, I'm going to drop something in the chat. If you are not driving and you can do it safely, go ahead and copy and paste this into a Word document, set it aside. That is going to be the tools and resources so that you can go execute this strategy after the call. Now that we're going to talk about value, that you will see in that Google Drive, there is a script called the FSBO value add script. For 99% of your FSBO interactions, that's going to be the structure of how you have the conversation, what value you bring to the table. So leverage that, tweak it, make it your own. But I just wanted to give you
Yeah,
that
everybody
so
go
you
grab
had it.
that. Don't forget.
There's also a FSBO guide in there that you can offer as value. There's a recording from one of my previous FSBO and landlord coaching calls in there that is meant for you guys to be able to go execute after this call. So let's talk about value. Let's talk about the one thing that is not valuable, because most agents, this is where they start. And I want you to stop doing that if you've ever tried this. Think about the psychology behind the conversation that you're about to have, okay? We know, all of us know, whether you're a lender or a realtor, we know that a for sale by owner has made one firm decision for themselves. I don't want to list with an agent. That's the one thing that, even if we don't call them, we know at this moment in time, that's their mindset. They don't want to list with an agent. So stop trying to get them to list with you. That is not value. And here's the truth, right? I don't know how many times when I say this out loud, people are like, oh gosh, that makes so much sense. Think about a time in your own life where you have made a decision that you were either going to do something or firmly that you were not going to do something, right? Whatever it was, you either for or against, you decided for yourself, this is my decision, I'm not going to do this thing. Has a random stranger ever called you blindly and convinced you to change your mind? No. So stop trying to do this, okay? There's a ton of ways that we can build this relationship without trying to convince a random stranger to do something they don't want to do. When you have the conversation, and you're going to see this in the script, I want you to address that elephant in the room right from the beginning, because most agents that do call FSBOs, that's their first approach. Well, most FSBOs can't sell it on their own, and I sell for more money, and you should list it with me, and blah 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 blah. And they're all of the FSBOs hear that same thing. So the moment you say the word realtor or real estate or lender, they're going to go, oh, here we go again. Another schmuck trying to convince me to do something I don't want to do. And I want you to address that immediately. And in the script, and that script is literally just what I say. It's not a philosophical thing. That's what I do when I'm talking to FSBOs. So it works. I literally start my conversation with, hey, listen, my name's Walt Key. I'm a local realtor. Before we go any further, do me a personal favor, take a deep breath. And then I take a deep breath with them. So there's a pause. And I say, hey, listen, man, I know you're probably getting bombarded by calls from other agents trying to convince you to do something you don't want to do. Listen, I don't even want to talk about listing your house. Is that okay? And they go, okay.
Wait, what?
Why are you calling me then? And now we can have a conversation immediately. Like, you can feel the tension on the call drift down. Like, immediately they're like, okay, this ain't the same salesy schmuck approach I was expecting. What's going on here? And then just talk to them like real people. Hey, listen, I'm in the business of helping people. And one of the ways I help people, because I just love to do it, is I reach out to the for sale by owners in my market with some creative ways that I can help them sell their home on their own for free. And if you got 10 minutes, I'd love to just share some thoughts with you. Are you open to that? No pressure, no sales pitch. Hey, look, I've got some ways I can help you at no cost to you. You want to have a conversation about that? And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, sure, what do you have in mind, right? And then just walk through, again, the script will walk you through this, walk through these various value propositions. Start with the obvious. Are you open to working with a buyer's agent? I realize you're trying to save some money and not list, totally respect that. Are you open to working with a buyer's agent if I bring you a qualified buyer and a great deal in your house? And I will tell you that 99.9999875% of the time, made that up on the fly, but it's pretty darn close, they already know they're going to work with a buyer's agent. They just want to save some money by not working with a listing agent. They're okay with that. That's where they're at mentally right now. So almost every time they're like, yeah, sure, of course, bring me a buyer. Great. That's what I'd love to do. As I'm trying to find the right buyer, would you mind if I did some proactive marketing for your property so that I can find the right buyers, the ones that are actually interested in your house? I will screen them, vet them, make sure they're qualified and they're actually able to buy your house. And if they're serious, I'll call you back and we'll set up a showing. Does that sound fair? Knock yourself out. Yeah, do some marketing. Bring me a buyer. Wonderful. Hey, listen, if I'm going to do some marketing for you anyway, what really drives engagement these days is video content. Would you be open to meeting me at the house for 10, 15 minutes at some point this week? I just want to do a couple quick video walkthroughs. And then I've actually got some software on my phone that will build me a floor plan of your house as well. And that will help people visualize your home. I'd like to get video content and a floor plan, and I'll use that in the marketing to drive more buyers to it. And that way I can screen and vet them a little bit more efficiently. Could we do that? Was there a time this week that works good for you? Right? We're just going to go down this value proposition. Okay, well, listen, if we're going to be finding buyers anyway, would it be better for you if we scheduled a time, maybe this weekend, maybe next, where I could come in and do an open house for you? I can market it the same way I was going to, but we can open the window of time up for just a few hours on one specific day, try to get all the buyers through the door at once. And that just keeps us from having to go back and forth with individual showing requests. Are you open to me doing an open house for you? On and on. And here's the beautiful thing about this. It's okay if they say no at any point. Yes, find me a buyer. Yes, you can market my house. No, I don't want you to do an open house. That's okay. We're going to do as much as we can possibly do as we're trying to establish this relationship and add value. The last thing I always talk about, and we'll move on here and we'll open this up for questions. The last thing that I always talk about before we wrap up the call is the FSBO guide. I always tell them, hey, listen, whether I find the buyer or you find the buyer, because I'm going to try my best to get a buyer through the door. When you find the right buyer, that's actually just the beginning of the process. And there's a lot that goes in there. There's legal requirements, there's timelines, there's monetary situations going on. And a lot of sellers don't realize just how involved the process is on the back end. So I actually built a 31-page for sale by owner guide, and it'll walk you through every single aspect of the process. Would you like a copy of that? Yeah, sure. Great. What's your best email address? I'm going to shoot that over to you right now. Hit me up with any questions, right? I always kind of wrap up with the FSBO guide. I never want to send it without telling them I want to and getting them to say yes to me, because it loses value if you're just out there just spamming people like, hey, I have a FSBO guide. Here it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the opportunity to build a relationship, but
Yeah.
it's a great way to wrap up the call. Okay. So again, can I bring a buyer? Can I market your property? Can I do video content to help market your property? Are you open to me doing an open house so I can bring all the buyers that saw the marketing at the same time? It's more convenient for you. Can I send you this FSBO guide to help you out? There's so many great ways that we can do this. Now, in between offering all of this value, you're also going to be talking to them about the house. Tell me a little bit more. Tell me about this. What about that? How's the floor plan? How long have you lived there? Why are you moving? Oh, because your grandkids are down south. Well, tell me more about the grandkids. How many do you have? That's super awesome, right? You're going to build some rapport, making connections on the personal stuff. I call these off ramps, right? If you're talking about the house and you say, well, it sounds like a great house. Why are you thinking about moving? And they say, well, it's just me and the wife now. The kids are all off to college. We really don't need a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. We're trying to downsize. Oh, that's awesome. How many kiddos you got? What are they studying in college? I've got a 22-year-old. She just wrapped up her grade. That's really cool, right? We're going to take those off ramps and start building that personal connection as we have a conversation about how we help them sell the house. So just don't miss that. Take the jump off script as it makes sense to build more rapport. Okay.
So Walt,
Now,
before I forget, just so everybody knows here, um, we we've done this before and we had stats that you and I did, and your conversion rate of the for sale by owners that would end up listing with you. Do you remember it?
so in any given quarter, and I actually it got really high as I started focusing on this a little bit more, but in any given quarter of the year, roughly 40 to 60% of my listing business comes from a FSBO relationship, and 30 to 40% of my closed business that wasn't listed, even buyers, right? We'll talk about that as we go. Even buyer transactions that I was closing stemmed from this strategy of marketing the for sale by owner. And I was generating buyer clients that didn't want to buy that house after all, right? Maybe we did a tour, maybe we didn't, but they reached out because of that house. And then we wound up closing on another one. There's tons of great business to do here. It's not all about the listings.
I just want to remind everybody
It's a
a
lot.
lot of business for you earned from
Yep.
just this one strategy. It's even if you got the listing or you didn't get the listing, but the important
Yeah.
part too is just that everything you're doing is creating a multiplicity of
It's
opportunities.
all perpetual. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know there's a few lenders on the call, right? We talk a lot about how we do this from, if you want to be the most valuable lender in your market to your agent partners, execute this strategy
Oh yeah.
because you will generate buyers for yourself that you can qualify and then put in front of whatever lending or whatever realtor partner you choose to work with. They'll love you to death. You're putting the
Yeah,
actual
you
business
have
in
the
front of
power
them.
now.
You're a game changer, right? And you will build relationships with FSBOs that eventually say, hey, Joe Linder, listen, man, we've been trying this for 4 months now and it's just not working. But thank you so much for everything you've done. Do you have an agent you would recommend? We're ready to just get this thing sold.
Mm-hmm.
And now you start saying, hey, realtors, um, I need someone to list a house who can help me. Wait, say a lender just put a listing in front of me?
Yeah.
So let me talk more to this lender, right? You will become the most important lender in your market because
Yeah.
nobody does this. It's so much fun.
Love
Okay.
it. All
All right.
right.
Now we're on the follow-up slide. So let's talk about that while we're here. Another key aspect to this on the follow-up. If you reach out to a FSBO and they say, yes, market my property. Yes, find me a buyer. Yes, yes, yes. Do all the things. And that's the last conversation you ever have with them. Don't expect to do a lot of business from them. And that's your fault, not theirs. Everything we do in real estate, follow up is the linchpin. Follow up is super, super critical. So, what I recommend you do is once a week, follow up with every FSBO that you had a conversation with the prior week. And if you do it the way that I'm going to show you, there's some really easy metrics you can throw at them. And actually, it's on the slide right there, Facebook Marketplace. You see that. So, one of the primary places I'm going to market the FSBO is Facebook Marketplace and in my local area resale groups, right? Buy, sell, trade, and real estate this, and moving to Florida, and all of the real estate groups, marketplace and the groups. I'm going to put it in there. So I'm going to be generating conversations with potential buyers. I'm going to be finding folks that are interested. But marketplace, kind of like Facebook, if you're got a creator profile, it actually gives you insights on the listing. So marketplace will tell you, hey, in the last 7 days, 655 people looked at this marketing. 37 of them saved it. 14 of them shared it. And then you'll have conversations that you spark, right, through Facebook Messenger. So every week, you can call that FSBO back, right, and say, hey, Joe, it's Walt. We talked last week, and I just wanted to give you a quick update. The marketing that I'm doing for your house, 637 people saw that marketing just this week alone. I sparked about a dozen conversations. No serious buyers just yet. I'm still weeding through and qualifying them. But I just want to let you know the marketing's going well. How did it go for you this week? Did you get any phone calls? Did you do any showings? Right? Did you have any interest? And you just do that once a week. If you have no other conversations with them, once a week, follow up, give them your marketing stats, and then ask them, how's it going for you? What's your marketing stats? How's it going on your side? And end those calls. This is super fun and important. End those calls with, hey, is there anything else that I can do for you right now? Okay, nope, great. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you next week. Every single week, is there anything else I can do for you right now? And I promise you, if you get consistent on that follow-up, I'll talk about the stats in a minute. The probability of them eventually answering that question of, is there anything else I can do for you right now? The answer will be, actually, Walt, hey, what would it look like if you just listed this for us? Hey, Walt, could we maybe have a conversation about you just putting this on the market for us? That will be the eventual answer to the question when they decide, you know what, we've been doing this for a while now. It's not working for us. Walt is out there crushing it. He's getting so much more traction than we are on Zillow. Like I'm seeing my views on Zillow. It's 13 and 1 save, and he's got 677 and 55 saves. He's marketing it better than I am. I kind of like the guy. Been talking to him for a couple months now. Hey, Walt, could you just list this for us? We need to get it sold. That will be the inevitable answer to the question, but you've got to ask that question. All right. So just be mindful of that. Now, how do we market their property? It's on the slide. We kind of talked about it. The number one place you're going to market this, Facebook Marketplace, your local community Facebook groups. You'll spark some great conversations. Some of those will turn into buyers that do not want to buy that house. That's okay. You're generating business for yourself, whether you're a realtor or a lender, right? You're generating buyer business for yourself. I'll give you a real world example really quick. I have a FSBO that I reached out to. Can I do some marketing? Can I do some video? Blah, 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 the whole shebang, right? We didn't do an open house, but I went to the house. I did video marketing. Video was great on Facebook Marketplace. Keep it 60 seconds or less. You just need a highlight reel. I sparked dozens of conversations. I have several qualified buyers in the $600,000 to $700,000 range because they reached out to me from that specific FSBO. I had a client reach out about that FSBO, decided they didn't want to buy it, bought another house with me at $470,000, and then I listed their previous property at $550,000. I pulled $1 million in closed volume from one client marketing a FSBO that I never sold. This strategy creates perpetual cycle of business for you if you just execute it consistently and crush your follow-up.
You might be onto something. You should
I
get
know
into real
it's
estate.
almost like maybe I've done this before. And again, if you're a lender, do this and just start passing out leads to the agents in your market, right? We've all been there, right? As a lender, you tell me if I'm wrong. You're like, man, that agent over there is crushing it. I would love to do some business with them, but they are established. They've got their own business. They've got their own partners. And I can't, like, there's nothing I can say to them to break in. Hey, I've got great rates. Yeah, so's my guy. Hey, I love it. Yeah, so's my guy. Hey, yeah, so's my gal. What could I do? But if you reached out to that agent and said, hey, Jen, it's Walt. I'm a local lender in your market. Listen, I've got a $700,000 listing client I need to put in front of a realtor. Are you available for a 5-minute phone call? You just got their attention because that's
They're
something that
available.
other lending partners are not doing.
Yeah.
Now you can build a relationship with that highly productive agent that turns into the partnership where you are both generating business for each other. That's a game changer.
All right, let's jump into, guys, keep dropping the questions. These are amazing. We're about to get into questions. But some of the common mistakes that we see, number one is just not doing it. A lot of times we think that this is a 8 hour a day process. I think maybe the really hardcore cold callers might give us that perception where they're like, I dialed for 12 hours today. They probably didn't, by the way. But some do. I want to be fair. Some do. But start small. 5 for sale by owners a week is all it takes to see momentum. Yep. And there are very few lead gen strategies that require so little outreach to produce the results that this does. It's very surprising every time that we do these calls, because it's like most of the time when we're teaching certain things, marketplace is a good example. You have to have hundreds and hundreds of conversations and tons of follow-up, but the conversion rate is just so much higher on the for sale by owners. Calling for the wrong reason. You know, Walt did a really good job of talking about this earlier, but kind of want to drive it home again. You're not there to pitch your listing services, right? You're there to solve a problem. And the problem is I need to sell my home. I feel that an agent is not the best way for me to do that. So I'm on my own, right? They should call it for sale on their own. For sale all alone. Right? It's a very isolating feeling. And if you get to know a lot of these for sale by owners, you'll actually hear a lot of fear and anxiety. Very few of them, despite what you're told about other agents, and Walt, feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, but despite what you're told about other agents, they're not a bunch of narcissists. That has never been the impression I've ever gotten. A couple are, but even those ones tend to still have a root cause behind it all. They got burned really bad, so they have this really ego wall of defense.
Yeah, you see that sometimes where one really bad experience with an agent, I'm done talking to agents. And you can actually see this sometimes on Zillow. If you go into the property history, right? It's been for sale by owner for 3 weeks, but it was listed in the MLS for 6 months and then it expired or they canceled it. And whatever happened with that realtor relationship, they're like, I'll do this. It's not worth it. I'll do it on my own. That absolutely happens. Now I'll tell you, it's interesting. Even the ones, I've been doing this for years. even the ones that start off with, I'm not working with an agent, I can do it on my own, I don't need no help. 20 minutes later, they're like, well, yeah, if it's not sold in a couple months, I might think about listing with an agent. I've had that exact conversation.
I think
I'll
I've
give you a quick
converted
example.
more
I
difficult
can't help
ones.
myself. I love doing this. I was living with my sister when I first moved to Florida. She was a realtor for 10 years. Okay. She's in Missouri now, but living in her house at the back of a closed subdivision, 3 houses up. When I left that house that day, there was a FSBO sign. I said, Shala, that's her name. I said, why haven't you called this FSBO? It's like, oh, I don't do that. They don't like to work with agents. I'm like, it's fine. I'll call them. I'm going to use your office while you're out today. I'm going to call them. So on the sign, right? That's the only marketing they were doing, by the way, is the sign in a closed subdivision with no through traffic. But whatever. On the sign, it's at the top, it said, 3-2, golf course, lakefront, price. On the bottom, literally the whole bottom of the sign, big bold letters, no realtors, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I went, huh, this could be a fun phone call. I had a 21-minute long phone call with that seller. And at the end of the, and it started, no joke, it started with, nope, I'm not even working with a buyer's agent. I've done this before. I don't need no help. I got it. At the end of the 21-minute phone call, he says, well, listen, if it's not sold by April, I'll probably think about listing it. Follow-ups in my court now, right? I went from, I hate you, I'm not working with you, to, well, give me a couple months, I'll think about it. Right? They're almost every FSBO I've ever talked to understands there's buyer's agents and there's listing agents, and they save some money by not using a listing agent, but they realize the vast majority of buyers are represented by somebody, and they're going to have to work with a buyer's agent if they want their house sold. I mean, that's not really something you have to convince them of. They already know that. And the listing just comes from building the relationship and having enough trust that when they make the decision, you're the only one they want to talk to about it.
In all of my leads, so now I'm not just talking about for sale owners. I've had probably 10,000 plus leads, and I would say the ones who were the most skeptical of my value were the ones that ended up becoming some of the best clients, because they were someone who had spent time trying to, how do you put it? They put a lot of effort into figuring this out, meaning they spent time. It wasn't nonchalant. It wasn't casual. They drew opinions. But when they eventually came over to the other side and they saw the value that I bring, they were just so blown away by something that they didn't think was possible that they became, for lack of better words, they became fans. They went from, oh, I hate Taylor Swift. She sucks. She's the worst. I would never go. Then they went to her concert and they were like, this is one of the best concerts. I can't believe I've been hating Taylor Swift this long. And then they become super fans, right? Right? Like, that's actually a real story. That actually happens most of the time. When we dislike something that we've never gotten to really experience, but then we get to experience, if they're the real deal, we don't just become casual fans who grew up with it. We become super fans because we go from a one polar. We never go, just so you guys know, it's very rare for someone to go from one polar side to the middle because they're already an extremist. They already said, I hate this idea, which means if you ever convert them, they jump all the way over to here to, I love this idea.
Yeah.
And that's you, the agent. And so, like, when you get skepticism, oh, yeah, crack that neck. You're like, yep, let's go. Be excited that you have someone willing to question you, talk to you, share their concerns and fears, because that's what their questions are. Because if you can convert that person, they will probably be a great client.
Yep.
A great client.
No doubt about it. They become great referral partners.
And do you know how I know that? I'm that guy. I am extremely thorough in my research in everything that I do. I've been burned by doctors. For those of you who know my wife's health problems, we've been burned by doctors. I've dealt with insurance. I've been dealing with one insurance problem. They've tried to send me to court 4 times, and it's because of them. They just keep forgetting to file their own paperwork. And then every time I call, they tell me, oh, yeah, we got it this time. And the point of what I'm saying is that I'm also the best fan ever. If you can get through the skepticism, I'm in. I'll tell everybody about you. Right. All right. So we got some questions. Let's jump to those real quick, guys. We'll also put the newsletter for replays. We'll put Walt's Google Drive link in there too for you. So we'll put the subscribe button to the newsletter. It's free like everything else. And then let's answer some of these questions real quick. I'm going to
Yeah,
scroll up through a few.
saw a couple in the chat that are definitely, I've answered a few of them, but a couple are worth addressing for the whole call on the replay. Someone said, sometimes they're just really unrealistic on their price. Do not let that dissuade you from calling them anyway. You might think, oh, well, they're 40, 50, $60,000. They're 20% over market value. Call them anyway. Because again, it's not about convincing that person to change their mind, change their price, change whatever. It's about offering real value to help them. And in the process of marketing their house, you will generate your own buyer clients that you can go shop at different price points. And some of those buyers may say, it feels like they're a little overpriced. And you say, yeah, that's possible. I'm looking at the comps and they could be a little higher. What's your price point? Let's find you some other options in that price point. Right? You don't miss an opportunity to add value and build your business just because of the price point. They may change their price point later. They may ask you for your advice on price later, and you can have that conversation. Don't try to convince them they're wrong on price. Just offer the value that you can offer them and see what happens. Don't let that dissuade you. And then the other question was, somebody said, how do we get the conversation from a messenger, right? Marketplace contact. How do we get to a point where we can follow up? Now, the FSBOs just catalog their info so that you can keep track. You can put them in your CRM. You can put them in an Excel spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet I used to use called FSBO Tracker. It's super simple. Address, price, how many days on market so far, their name, their phone number, right? And then I put little notes on it and I color code it. So if I've already listed it, it went green. When we sold, it changed colors, right? If they said I could market it, it was a different color. If I didn't get a hold of them, I didn't color it at all. So I knew to try again. You could do something like that to follow up with the FSBOs. But for marketplace contacts specifically, right? When you're marketing a listing, they reach out from Messenger and the default is almost always, is this still available? Right? Anyone who's ever used Marketplace, 90% of your first engagement is this still available? And then you might say something like, it absolutely is at the moment. I'd love to chat with you more about what you're looking for. What questions do you have? Crickets, right? We've all been there. So once a week, follow up with those in the messenger as well. Hey, I just want to make sure I didn't leave you hanging. Did you have any questions about this property or any others? I am a licensed realtor in the market, so if you've got any other thoughts, happy to help, right? Just continue to ping them weekly as well, the people that reach out to you, and eventually some will say, nah, I'm not interested, thanks. Great, delete that one, you're done. The follow-up is super, super critical. So remember I said earlier, marketing to FSBOs, I've got several buyers in the $600,000 to $700,000 range. I'll give you an example of how important the follow-up truly, truly is. One of those buyers did not respond to me through Facebook Messenger at all. No contact. Is this available? And then I responded, followed up. They did not engage with me at all until the 7th follow-up attempt on my part. 7. Okay. And then after that 7th attempt, they said, hey, well, so sorry. It was a crazy week. The kids got sick. Yes, we're absolutely still interested. Can we go look at that house?
It was a crazy week that lasted 7 months.
It lasted like 3 weeks. Seven follow-ups happened over about 3 or 4 weeks, right? Follow-up's important. So here's why I say 7. I emphasize 7. There's some stats for everybody. Stats are important, right? You got to understand what you're dealing with. These are not my numbers. These are actual legitimate business statistics. 92% of salespeople follow up one time or never at all. 92% of your friends, your family, your colleagues in this business never follow up or at best follow up one time. But 80% of closed sales don't happen until after the 5th attempt, the 5th follow-up. So that's a massive gap between 92% follow up once or never, but 80% of the sales close after the fifth time. Your follow up is wildly important. Okay. So that's with the FSBOs. Statistically, in 2024, NAR put out a stat 93% of FSBOs list with an agent before the house sells. You got a 93% probability of listing that house if you just follow up consistently and become their friend. And it costs you nothing to do it. Like it's worth the doing it. Follow up, follow up, follow up. So for Messenger, follow up once or twice a week and just ping them. Hey, how you doing, man? I want to make sure I didn't leave you hanging. Did you have any questions? Hey, are you still interested in taking a look at some houses? Right? Just engage with them. It doesn't have to be super fancy wording. Just ping them until they say either, I'm not interested. You can leave me alone now. Great. I'm going to delete that messenger and never talk to them again. It's easy peasy. Or they say, so sorry I didn't get back to you. It's been busy. Yes, let's talk. Okay. Same thing with the FSBOs. Follow up every week, offer them some stats. How'd it go for you? Until they say, Walt, leave me alone. I'm not interested. Or thank you so much. Keep following up. Now, one person asked, how do I move that conversation from the messenger into a phone call? So as you actually start engaging with people, not the first one, not the, hey, is this still available? When they actually respond to you and you start having a real conversation of some substance, then you want to move that conversation to a phone call. So now we're going to get some additional information. And typically, the best way to do that is something along these lines if you're a real estate agent. Hey, if you're serious about buying a house, the first big step is making sure you're pre-qualified with a great lender. Are you already working with a lender, or would an introduction to my go-to lending team be helpful? Right? And if they're like, no, we're already working with a lender. Oh, that's great. Would you mind? I'd love to just chat with them for a second and get you set up for success. Would you mind doing a quick group text? Here's my cell number. Right? And that way, when they text, you'll have their number, et cetera. Or if they say, no, we're just getting started. We don't really have a lender yet. Okay, no problem at all. Listen, I would love to make an introduction to my go-to lending team. They are absolute rock stars. What's your best cell phone number? I'll make a quick text introduction right now. We'll get you set up for success. Right. And now I'm going to get their cell phone number so that I can send that group text. After I send the group text, I'm probably going to call them and just have a 5-minute phone call with them to let them know a little bit more about the lending process, what to expect from the lending team, things like that. It's hard to move those to a phone call too soon because they don't know you, right? Messenger is very safe. It's semi-anonymous. I don't have to give you any information. But the serious people that actually want to see a house or buy a house are going to engage with you. And when you say, hey, I'd love to get on a quick phone call with you and explain the process, or hey, I'd love to do a quick text introduction, get you connected to a great lender, they will be open to sharing that information and you'll move it from there.
Let me tell you guys something really quick too. So I have worked thousands of leads via Facebook and Facebook Messenger in particular. And I would argue that I've gotten pretty good at it. And I still use the techniques today, just to be clear. So this is not something that I don't do anymore. I still do. One thing that I do is I always test and in a way condition the person on leading them down the road of having deeper conversations. And so when I do follow-ups, most follow-up you hear will be text-based. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually can work great. But what I want to do is I want to see how quickly I can get them to in person. And it usually takes steps. It's usually not leaps, it's steps. And so what I'll do is I'll do my first follow-up with Walt, and it's going to be text-based, right? Is this still available? Blah, 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 text-based. 90% of the time, they never respond. Next thing I'm going to do is a picture of some sort. It could be a selfie of a house I'm showing that might work for them. Hey, I just finished up the showing. Didn't work for this family. They need to be closer to the school, but it might work for you. Check it out, right? And I'll do either a video or an image. I'll also send audio. I'll send a voice memo. I'm going to figure out what they'll respond to. Because once, and what's funny is actually, I've had people do voice memos, which I never thought they would. I've had people give me voice memos. Once they start doing voice memos, all of a sudden, they're a little more open with you. They talk a little bit more, they share a little bit more, and they're moving out of text-based, which is where all agents exist, right? And now they're moving into conversation, direct conversation, voice, video, where then we start to see. And my conversion rates go through the roof when I can start getting them out of just texting me. And by the way, this works for everyone. This isn't even just about real estate leads, right? Like this is about your communication with your spouse, even. Most of the time, you can start text, but if it starts to get important, put a little more effort into it. Okay? Put a little more effort into it, guys. We can do this. All right. It works really well. And they become so comfortable with me that I have people who know me by the time I ever meet them in person because they have talked to me, they have watched videos, this is where YouTube, but we'll get in that's a whole different conversation. But I'm trying to show them that I am not just everybody else messaging them. I am different. They can hear me, they can talk to me, they can the tone of my voice. I have a lot of energy and passion that communicates very well on video. So I'll often use video as a way because they need to be overwhelmed in a good way by the passion and energy that I have. And you guys, I'm not saying you have to be happy, but you should have confidence when you talk because your job is to look out for them. And you should be confident in your capability of being able to do that. That does not come through on text, right? It just won't. But you can get on there, right? And just have confidence, right? And just communicate with them and just be personable and just keep doing it. Like Walt said, 7 times is where he got that one. I mean, I've followed up with people for years and they've never responded to a single one. I think the longest I followed up with someone who never responded until finally they did and I sold their house was 2 years. And by the way, when I say 2 years, it wasn't once a year. I'm talking about every month, sometimes 2-3 times a month following up. I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to this. Actually, that's not super hardcore. There's people who do it way more than me. Real quick, too, I wanted to mention something Cynthia brought up, and it's very important. And Walt and I are very big advocates of this. First, it's because we're Christians. And then second, ethics, morality is the biggest strategy when I first started for sale by owners that I heard was that you call for sale by owners and say, I have a buyer. And that's how you do it. I have a buyer for your home, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the thing. I thought they were telling the truth when I was first taught this strategy. And so my question was, well, how do I get the buyer? And they go, oh, no, we don't have a buyer. We're just saying that to open the door. And then the ones who know it's morally wrong to lie, okay, here's what they do. They make these really silly excuses. They go, well, you see, I do have a buyer because there is some buyer out there in the marketplace. And if I get the listing, I'm going to find him. Oh, okay. Okay. Don't do that, guys. Everything Walt gave you, not only does it convert significantly better, but it's honest and true. And that's very, very important that you take that away because you will keep hearing people. You'll hear someone else say, well, here's my strategy. Have integrity. Walt's strategy works better than theirs anyway. You will feel better. So I wanted to mention that because that is something particularly in the for sale by owner space, that strategy. And I still see it. I do still see that script out there. I think it's gone down a bit, but I absolutely see that. And it's so dishonest. So I wanted to mention that because Cynthia, I'm glad you brought that up. Don't fall for it, guys. Waltz works better.
Yeah. Now there is a just real super quick. I know we're short on time. There is a script in the resources that I provided called the Bring a Buyer script. And I only do not ever lie to someone and say, well, I want your business, so let me give you a bunch of BS. You use that script when you have buyers that are already qualified, they're already shopping, and you just happen to bump across the FSBOs. I used to do this proactively as a way to put my buyers under contract faster. I used to go look for the specific FSBO that matched my buyer's criteria. It's the right price, it's the right location, it's the right size and shape. This actually sounds like a great fit for my qualified buyer.
Yep.
By all means, call the FSBO.
Yes.
And say, hey, I have a specific buyer in mind. We've been shopping for a couple months now. Your home sounds like a great fit. I just want to get some more information so I'm not wasting your time. I think I'm going to want to schedule a showing. Let's talk about your house real quick. Yes. And I have closed some fantastic deals for my buyers in a tough market where it was very competitive because nobody else is doing this for the FSBO, right? And you can absolutely use that approach if you have a buyer who you believe would genuinely be interested in that property. Do it honestly.
That's right. And by the way, that you guys should be doing this anyway. You should have a list of all your buyers and you should be proactively looking for opportunities beyond the MLS for them. You will make so much more money. You will not have to wait as long. Like, I just can't encourage you enough. Like, be proactive in everything that you do, and you're just going to make way more money. And your clients are going to be super impressed. We're at 10 o'clock. We try to be really good about our time. So, we're going to drop the link one more time, real quick, to our newsletter where we'll send you the replay, the slides, and Walt's Google Drive link. And then get in the Facebook group, the Agent Alliance, because if you have more questions for us or just want to share about what you're doing and how it's working, or maybe some objections, and you're like, I tried this, but I'm running into this problem, that's the place to do it. Tag Walt and I. We'll get in there with you and we'll work with you. Remember, we do this every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central, except we will have a guest hosting for us next week because Walt, Chris, and all of our other leaders in the Agent Alliance will all be in Florida at a leadership retreat for Epic. So I think I'll be on a plane and most of them will be on a plane. So we're going to have a guest coming in, a great guest that will be covering for us right there while we're away. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Can't wait to hear about your success in for sale by owners. Walt's going to be ecstatic. Like, he's going to be so happy. So, all right, guys, have a great Wednesday. Bye, everybody.